Ever since Tünde Fülöp was a little girl, she has loved numbers. Now, she's using her skills in mathematics to hopefully save lives, with the help of ions. Ions with very high energy possess unique characteristics which make them very useful for certain tasks, such as the treatment of cancer tumors in hard-to-reach areas. The problem today is that because the machines used to create these ions are massive and enormously expensive, very few patients actually receive this treatment. Tünde's goal is to develop a new, smaller, and less expensive ion source. But this little ion generator is in for some major challenges.
We hope to be able to give directions on how to increase the efficiency and beam quality of laser-based ion sources, and also to contribute to development of laser plasma physics.
Tünde comes from the land of Count Dracula, Transylvania, Romania. Both her mother and father were teachers, and she spent a lot of her time with them at school. It was there that she first discovered mathematics.
I like the deep concentration, when time and space doesn't matter and it feels that the brain is growing.
She loved participating in various math contests and solving difficult mathematical problems which were published in journals.
I liked the challenge. The problems were difficult, so you could sometimes spend several weeks thinking about them.
As a result of her successfully solving the journal problems, her name was also published in the journal.
I was very proud every time they printed my name.
When she was a teenager, Tünde and her family fled the communist dictatorship of Romania, which brought them to Sweden. Today, she lives just outside Gothenburg, Sweden, with her husband and their 2 children. It was here at the Chalmers University of Technology that this girl from Romania who loves numbers found her calling, and she would go on to become a scientist.
First, I wanted to contribute to a better world, but very soon I found out how much fun it was to go on a discovery trip to places where no one has ever been before and build something new there.
Now Tünde has been given the opportunity to discover something entirely new. She has just started a research project which involves working with high-energy ions. These ions can be used for many different purposes. To shine light through and examine different materials, for example, or for processing nuclear waste to reduce its radioactivity. But perhaps most importantly, they can be used to irradiate cancerous tumors. Traditional radiation used to treat cancer is emitted gradually with a spread that affects surrounding tissue. But ions leave almost all their energy right where they're focused. This allows access to deep-seated tumors without risking injury to the surrounding tissue. This is particularly important when dealing with brain tumors, especially in children. Machines that can do this are already in existence today, but they're extremely large and prohibitively expensive. Thus, there are very few locations in the world where they can be found. But Tünde and her research team are now working to change that.
We want to create a new technology which is smaller and cheaper.
Also a project.
Tünde is leading a research project which is a collaboration between Chalmers and the universities of Lund and Umeå.
And yes, so I hope the experiments will go well and the simulations will go well and everything.
The entire research team comes together for discussions on how they can come closer to their goal, to create a new ion source. Scientists from the Laser Center in Lund are an important piece of this puzzle.
Instead of using a conventional accelerator to accelerate the ions to the right energy, we want to use a laser.
Traveling to Lund is now part of Tünde's everyday life. This is where she has access to the high-powered laser they need. This is a laboratory environment which is new to Tünde, who normally only works with numbers.
For me as a theoretician, it's very exciting to visit the laboratory in Lund. The people there are real magicians and they have a tool set which is state-of-the-art, so it feels like science fiction.
Here, in the basement of the Lund Laser Center, is the new laser with an ability to create the energetic ions they need for their experiments.
Hi,
Oh, hello there.
how are you doing? Hi.
Hi there. Welcome. Welcome to Lund.
Thank you.
The scientists prepare for today's experiments and load the laser with the material to be targeted.
Now we use aluminium foils, but you can have different materials like gold or plastic, and you could also have structured targets.
Everything is in place and they're ready to trigger the laser.
So, ready?
Fire.
When the film is hit by the laser pulse, its atoms ionize, and the material is converted into a plasma, similar to a gas composed of charged particles. Some electrons are then thrown loose. The tension that arises between the lost electrons and the positive ions drags the ions from the material, accelerating them into a high-energy state. It's this process that Tünde hopes to use as a new, efficient ion source. But she's not there yet. There is still much research to be done.
This has a huge potential, but today the ions don't get high and specific enough energies. We have to learn to control them better.
She brings the results from the experiments back to Chalmers and to her equations.
We use numerical simulations to understand what actually happened in the experiment and then use that information to plan new and better experiments.
The new experiment will lead to new equations, and so on until the goal is reached, a new ion source which in the future may be used in cancer treatment. Ever since Tünde was a child, she's had a love affair with numbers. She has always dreamed that this interest in mathematics would somehow help create a better world, a dream that now, maybe, can become a reality. And if so, Tünde's mathematics will save lives.